Hello everyone and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Studio Series number 46, Deluxe Class Dropkick from the Transformers Bumblebee movie. Previously we saw Dropkick as a helicopter because in different parts of the movie he has different forms. Sometimes he's a helicopter, later on in the movie he's a car. Or actually, does he start out as a car and then turns into a helicopter? I can't remember. It's been a minute since I've seen Bumblebee, but I liked it. It was pretty good. In any case, he does have two forms throughout the movie, so now we are getting Dropkick in his car mode. Nice picture here on the side, number 46, Deluxe Class, as you can see there. Cool picture of him there on the side. I don't understand why it always just has the Autobot symbol. Like, for the Constructicons, it has the Constructicon symbol, but for Decepticons, still Autobots. Not really sure. Anyway, nothing going on the bottom, nothing going on top. Come around to the back. Big screen inspired scale detail backdrop. It says that for everything. Dropkick Decepticon Arrival. Decepticon Arrival. Alright. It doesn't really... Here we go. There's a little... Arriving on Earth in 1987, Dropkick disguised himself as a 1975 AMC Javelin and begins his search for Autobot criminals. Alright, there you go. That's a little backstory there. I can appreciate that. Down here, you have the other ones available in this wave. You have Drift, number 45. This one is Drift as a helicopter. So it's kind of funny. Before we had Drift as a car, we had Dropkick as a helicopter. Now we're getting Dropkick as a car and Drift as a helicopter. Everyone has a car and a helicopter alt mode. Then you have this abomination of nature Constructicon Hightower, which if you're looking for a review of this figure, you should look elsewhere, because I will not be buying this weird T-Rex armed monstrosity. I don't get most of the Constructicons. If you love them, more power to you. I'm glad somebody does. Not a big fan of Revenge of the Fallen Devastator. Really not a fan of most. I would say, what were there, like 8 of them? I would say probably like 6 out of the 8 I don't really care for. I did get Long Haul. He'll come. The review for him will eventually come, but most of them I don't really care for. So I'll have a few Constructicons, ones that I actually like, but Hightower will not be one of them. Anyway, we're getting off topic. Let's go ahead. Let's get Dropkick out of the box here, and we'll take a closer look. Here's a quick look at Dropkick on the kind of display diorama packaging that comes with this. I always thought these were kind of a nice little touch. See if we can bring him a little bit closer. I don't want to say he's back heavy, but he's got kind of a large turtle shell backpack type thing, and it's kind of making him lean into the diorama, which is kind of making the whole thing want to fall over, but it's a little better. I kind of repositioned his weight, so it's not falling over so much, but I always thought these were kind of neat, just a little extra something that they toss in the box. If you have the room to display the figures with this kind of little stand / diorama, more power to you. I certainly do not, but I think they're kind of neat. You can see this is kind of the gas station / convenience store where they first arrive on Earth in the early part of the movie. So, thought that was pretty cool that that was included. Taking a closer look at Dropkick, I actually really like him a lot. I like that he has the car door wings. His robot mode seems kind of simplistic, and by that I mean it's very straightforward. You know, it has arms, legs, really not a lot of kibble or anything on the back, which is what I appreciate. And it has very little noticeable car parts hanging off. And not that I have a huge problem with noticeable car parts. They usually lead to kibble. So in this case, he's got a little, you know, here's a little back side of the door. He's obviously got the hood, which is that kind of turtle shell backpack I was talking about. He's got enough car parts that it's obvious he turns into a car, but it's not so much that it's like kibble that's in your way, which is what I appreciate. Real quick, I wanted to do a comparison with the helicopter version of Dropkick. It's kind of impossible to tell that these are even the same character. I mean, the head sculpts are somewhat similar, but really, if you put these two figures side by side, unless you watch the movie, you'd really have no idea that this is the same character. They really don't look similar at all. I also want to do a quick little side shot with Shatter here, because this is both of them in the car modes and when they first arrive on the planet. Even though they turn into very similar looking vehicles, their transformations are very different, and it leaves you with two very different looking robot modes, so I really appreciate that as well. But yeah, he looks good. We'll try to get a close-up look at the head sculpt here. It's fairly simple. You know, it's kind of just like a black face with red eyes, and because it's black, a lot of the details get lost. But there are some details molded in there. The red eyes look good. The rest of the blue, I think, looks really good. His color scheme, again, simplistic, but I think it works. You have kind of a dark blue with black for pretty much most of his color scheme, but I like it. So head is on a ball joint. You can kind of move it up and down, side to side. Ball joint in the shoulder. You can see that I kind of moved the shoulder a little bit. That's the transformation. There is a ball joint here, it's just it's a little stiff on mine, so it's tending to move the wheel piece that it's connected to, but it's not a problem. Like, it doesn't really hinder anything. You just kind of have to loosen the joint a little bit as you use it over time. 90 degrees, actually kind of a little over 90 degrees in the elbow there. The wrists don't really have anything because the hands rotate into the forearms. You can see that he's got this gun connected here, and I'll go ahead and take this off. It's very simple. Basically what you do is you would rotate the hand into the forearm, and that exposes a peg, as you can see right there. And then on the inside of this little Gatling gun, actually I guess it's not really a Gatling gun, it's more like a, I don't know, some kind of Cybertronian blaster of some kind. But there is a, and let me see if I can fix this. Tiny little, there you go, there's the peg hole right there. And then this peg on the arm just pegs into there, and that's how you can mount this. So if you don't want him to use the gun, you can very simply just pop the hand back out like you're transforming him back into robot mode, and then he's got two normal hands. So pretty cool there. Not really anything in the waist or torso for movement, and that's because of how he transforms. We'll get there. But you have a ball joint in the hip. Now he does have a thigh swivel. You can see it down in there. It's kind of difficult. It gets a little bit looser over time, but it's a little difficult to make it move just because it's so close to the hip joint. So usually when you try to make it move, you're just moving the hip. But it is there. It does work. 90 degree in the knee, and then you have kind of a double jointed ankle here and here, and again, that's the transformation. But he doesn't have any side-to-side ankle tilt, which I kind of wish he did. But other than that, he looks good. I really do like him. I think his design's neat, the color scheme's great, and definitely not a lot of car kibble, which I really appreciate. So let's go ahead. We'll get into the very interesting transformation. So when I say very interesting transformation, it really is just not something we're used to, but it's kind of cool. I kind of like it. I kind of dig it. So we'll get there. Let's see. The first thing you can do, you can flip out the hood. I wouldn't flip it all the way up because you're going to need to move the head around in a minute, but you can flip it up about here. And then you can see you can kind of just keep accordioning out. Accordioning? There you go. That's a word, right? Keep flipping out pieces until you have the whole back of the car. You have the hood and all the way to the back. So that will hang about there for now. You're going to unhook this piece. This kind of pegs into the chest here. And so you just kind of unhook that and it flips up. You're going to push this piece down, and you'll see that this piece comes up here, which is why you don't want to push this all the way down just yet. But this is going to spin all the way around and then hide into the hood of the car there. Then you can push this up. It tells you to push it all the way up in the directions, but as soon as I went to flip the head around, because you can see how thick this piece is, that's got to spin around, so it just knocked it right off. So just spin that around first and then peg that in, and then you're good to go. So this you can kind of just have up there. This you'll flip down, this little black piece here. This is the part that I think is really neat. So this is kind of like popped on to a little friction. It's like two pieces of plastic that are like this, and then it clips down over top of them to keep them together, and then the friction of them wanting to go out is what keeps it in place. So you have to pop it off of there. Now the easiest way I find to do that is to kind of rotate this back So basically, this whole blue piece here is what you want to get off of there. And why is it not doing it for me now? Maybe I'm rotating it the wrong way. Yeah, you have to push it forward. Okay, I did it wrong. In any case, you see how this thing just kind of comes forward, and then it'll come off. And then you can see what I'm talking about. There's two little black pegs right there where my finger is. See that? See how like the friction of them staying together, like when you push this back down, and it kind of clips on over top. So let me see if I can get it to actually do it. See, there you go. So it clips over top. So when you want to take them off, you kind of want to... Because if you try to pull it straight off, I feel like it doesn't really work. But if you kind of like wiggle this, and then it just kind of comes off. So that's ultimately what you're trying to do. You're trying to get this blue assembly off of there. These little pieces in the back will rotate forward like this. They work kind of back like this, and they rotate like this. They're going to be wheel wells for your car. So at this point, you can come down to the legs. You can kind of unhook these black pieces on the side, pull them away from the car, and then rotate them down, and then you're going to peg them back into the car, and then you're going to rotate up the feet pretty much as far as you can get them and push them just like that. So as you can see, I've done that with both of the feet there. You want to fold those wrists or hands into the forearm like that. This will unpeg and flip down to straighten out like that. Then you're going to kind of bring these up, and then this whole section will fold down. So as you do that, you want to fold this into the chest to kind of complete that. And you just kind of have to make sure stuff's out of the way as you're doing it, and sometimes things will just kind of hang around, but it will all work out. So there you go. Push that in. You can see that the arms are kind of hanging straight down. You can come up here. You'll see that there are tabs on the back of the thighs, and they're going to peg into these tab slots on the inside of the roof. If you can see right where my thumb is, right there. So you kind of just want to bring this up, and it's a little easier said than done, quite honestly, but you can get it up there, peg that in. You can see that the black pieces from the legs will form the back of the car there, so just peg that in. That all connects in. Make sure that that's all out of the way, and then this piece just kind of floats back here, as you can see. Or are the knees supposed to fit in here? I don't think so. I don't think the toes fit into that. I think they just hang back here. So at this point, you want to bring the arms down, and you'll see that there is a tab spot there and a tab spot on the side of the foot. So you kind of bring this down, and they will tab in there. Tab that one in. Okay, now comes what you would not expect to be the most difficult part of the car transformation. You can see here that there is a large rectangle tab supposed to go in there. There is a smaller rectangle spot that will go on this tab here, and then there's a tab slot here for a tab on the very edge of the door here. Now, normally you would just close this and it's not a big deal. Unfortunately, because of the way this is, like, it's just not solid enough. It doesn't have anything to really push against. And the other thing is that the doors don't 100% fit in. And I don't mean that in a... I guess I'm describing it wrong, but this little black piece that forms the back of the car here, right here where the skull is painted, you can see how it has kind of a little notch right there. So like when you close this, the door kind of naturally wants to go in there. And I think they put that notch in there so that it wouldn't like be brittle and snap when you try to push this closed. But really it just makes it kind of difficult. So you have to kind of like pull this back, because basically when you close the door, you're kind of closing it on that back piece of the plastic. And all it's doing is kind of mashing that. It's not actually fitting inside Like, you obviously need to fit inside that piece of plastic, and it's just kind of mashing on top of it. So it takes a little wiggling, but eventually you need to get that closed and get it to fit in there. Okay, so eventually you will be able to get it in there. You just have to, I find sometimes it's easier to kind of try to tilt the door so that you kind of put like the window part underneath first and then kind of get it in there. But I promise it can be done. I don't know why. I mean, I guess they needed to make it that tight so that it stays in place, because it really does. Like, once it's in there, I mean, this rolls very nicely. It's a very solid car mode, and it looks great. But it's really difficult to get that door closed. But once you do, it's nice. I mean, you can see everything underneath. There's really not a ton of robot kibble under here, which is pretty cool. And just overall, I really like the look of this car mode. Rolls very nicely. You can even take the little gun here, and you can kind of see how there's like a little notch right here where my nail's going. You can use that to clip it onto the back of his like spoiler. And then he can have that mounted on the back. So it's a very fun car mode, and I really do like the look of it quite a bit. It just definitely takes a little bit of practice to get those doors closed. Everything else about the transformation is actually pretty good. Like I said, it's definitely interesting when you have kind of the whole torso section kind of pulling apart, and you have the kind of the front black piece, you have that blue piece that swivels up and pops in up here, and then you have the legs kind of fold back. So it's very interesting, but I think it definitely works, and you're left with a pretty excellent little car. I like Dropkick a lot. I think I definitely like it more than the helicopter version of Dropkick. I did enjoy the helicopter version, but I felt like that transformation was a lot more difficult. And by difficult, I shouldn't say like it was hard to figure out. I mean, it was like hard to get everything to move and pivot and line up in the right direction. Just, I don't know, because it had to kind of like turn into a completely like thin helicopter. Whereas this guy, I feel like it's a little bit more natural and intuitive to just kind of figure out where everything goes. I really like the color scheme. I really like the car that it transforms into. Like I said, the transformation is a little goofy at first, because it's something that I feel like we're not really used to. But once you do it once or twice, it's pretty intuitive. It works out well. I like the little hand cannon accessory that he comes with. I think the head sculpt on this one versus the other one, I think this one's a little bit better. So I think this is kind of the better version of Dropkick. If you waited and didn't grab the helicopter one, I think you definitely will be happy with this one. And he looks good next to Shatter. Having Shatter as the car, I think, is really nice. Having the two of them together, they make a really nice pair. So I recommend picking this one up, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.